So where are we? We are at the last session, I think, which is session 25. So we've taken 25 sessions to complete Wayfarers. And like you see, the main portion of the book is only 12 sessions. So bulk of the book is over the supplements, and we are in the last of the supplement, which is which is probably going to finish today. Yeah. So
Yeah.
before we start that, we'll just do Hafiz's prayers. 1 second. Able to see it? Yeah. Maybe you can start with the couplets and.
Screen
Oh,
is not
sorry.
visible. No, yeah.
Oops. I was actually showing Trello. I'll show it again. Okay. Please start with
Yes,
the
now it is.
couplets. And
Yeah.
yeah. There we go.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Three of Meher Baba's favorite couplets of Hafiz, a mystical Persian poet. Befitting a fortunate slave, carry carry out every command of the master without any question of why and what. About what you hear from the master, never say it is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in your own incapacity to understand him. I am slave of the master who has released me from ignorance. Whatever my master does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. Hafiz. Tar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
So you keep sending those lovely Rumi, poems.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know where you get them. They're very nice. So I
They are
used to.
posted on Facebook groups or they are also on Pinterest.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
so
okay.
I keep getting
So,
from there.
okay, nice. So, anyway, the other thing I've been researching is there's a new feature on WhatsApp which is called communities. Are you aware of that? Have you used
No,
that?
no, I'm not.
Okay, so it's more uh, a broadcast kind of a tool than a group. So and it also allows programmability, right? So like in Telegram, I use auto posting of calendar and so on. Lot of features I use on Telegram to automate things, like the YouTube video. When it goes live, it
Yeah.
automatically sends a Telegram post,
Okay,
stuff
okay.
like that. So all in the same way, I think WhatsApp does something. I will research more on that and then
hmm
maybe go back to WhatsApp. Not go back, but at least also post to WhatsApp on whatever we're doing,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
maybe our reach will
Yes,
be better. So this is what I was
yes.
showing when I thought we were sharing. So so we are at the 25th session. We have taken 24 sessions
Yeah,
till now. 24 sessions is how many months? Almost 6 months. Wow.
yeah. It has taken a lot
So
of
we have,
time.
yeah, we have read over
Eight in a
six.
month. 8 in a month, right? Just 3 months.
Oh yeah, 3 months. 3 months. Okay. Yeah,
Eight.
3 months.
Yeah,
That's not too bad, given
yeah.
the nature of this book. That's not too bad at all.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I think the point I was making was, if you look at these columns, the main portion of the book just took us half of it, right? So it's 12 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And then the back matters, one, supplement two, supplement three. So we are now going to do the supplement three, and we have about 13 pages. And depending on the time, I would like to read or at least share this particular article from Globe, which is a Western perspective on understanding Musk, which I thought was a good way to end this. This is a modern, this is
Oh,
written recently, and
okay.
it's a Western perspective saying, hey, Baba has said Musks are only in Indian subcontinent. How do we make sense of
Mm-hmm.
that, and how, what is the relevance to the West? It's a very beautiful article.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
had mentioned
So
this. Yeah, remember
correct. So
now.
I have
Yeah.
it. I have it. But if we don't get enough time, I'll just post it on the group.
Okay.
All right. Jai Baba. Hi, Ashish. So
Ashish
I'll
Jai
probably
Baba.
start for a bit. and then we can rotate around. Yeah.
Sure.
Avtar
Sure.
Meher Baba ki jai. So we're starting on page 45. Yeah, Ashish.
I thought we were starting Mera means last Sunday I was not there.
Yeah. So we didn't complete. Yeah, we didn't
Okay,
complete I think we will
okay,
complete today. So Mehra
okay.
from next week, but discourses from tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's start on page 45. 10th March 1948. Uh, Jai Baba Shiva. At 5 a.m., Baba and his party came down from Taragar to Ajmer and took a train to Kishangarh. They found, however, that the must whom they had hoped to contact in Kishangarh had died, and they therefore went by bus and train to Sojat. Here, Baba contacted a great must known as Nuru Baba, who is described at some length in the supplement of the Wayfarers under Sojat. From Sojat, Baba and his men went to Abu Road, the small town that lies at the foot of Mount Abu. 11th March 1948. In Abu Road, so Abu Road is at the foothill of Mount Abu, and Mount Abu is the so it's a town. It's a, if you know the British style of naming places, the train head is generally called the road. So if you go to Kodai Road, which is at the foothill
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
Kodai is called Kodai. Yeah, so same thing. Abu Road
Correct.
is at the bottom. So in Abu Road, Khuda Baksh, who was first contacted by Baba in 1941, is described in the supplement of the Wayfarers. At this latest contact, he gave Baba a lungi. Baba wore this lungi once and later added it to the collection of gifts that other musts have given him from time to time. From Abu Road, Baba and his men returned the same evening to his temporary headquarters at Mount Abu. About a week later, he set out on another tour, going first to Ahmedabad. 17th March 1948. In Ahmedabad, here again, Baba contacted Saeed Nabi Mastan and gave him 6 cigars. For a short description of this must, see the entry of 21st March 1948 in this summary. That night, Baba and his men slept in Bibi's rocking minaret mosque and set out the next morning for Cambay. 18th March 1948. Khambat. Okay, Khambat is Cambay. I was wondering what is Cambay. So it must be near Ahmedabad. In Cambay, Khambat, two renewals of old contacts, Rahman Shah and Kharaowala Babu. For a brief description of these two, sir, must see the note of 16th November 1948. So it will come further down. From Cambay, Baba returned to his temporary headquarters at Mount Abu. 26 March 1948, Baba went to the village of Oriya, about 4 miles from the town of Abu, where he contacted a yogi known as Matragiri Maharaj. For a description of this yogi, see chapter 2. 27th March 1948. Baba went by bus down to Abu Road, where he contacted a must known as Ganpat, who lives under a tree on the outskirts of the town. He was taken to a nearby well where Baba bathed him, gave him a new lungi and some money, and clothed him in his own silken coat. This must was first contacted in September 1947 and is described as Ganesh Mastan in the last chapter of the Wayfarers. Baba was very happy at this contact and returned to Mount Abu the same afternoon. 29th March 1949. Baba walked out to Dilwara, a village about 2 miles from Abu town. Here he contacted a very old man known as Bengali Baba, who has lived in a cave near Dilwara for some 40 years. He is a very good yogi. On 11th April, Baba set out on another tour, going via Bombay to Akola. 14th April 1949. In Akola, several contacts here, the first being with Chamna Mai Mastani, This Mastani had originally been contacted in 1944, and there is a short description of her in the supplement of the Wayfarers. Khalil Mastan is a good mast who wanders about Akola. Puran Lai is apparently 70 years old and is a very good mast. He lives next to a flower stall, the proprietor of which looks after him. Vishnu Mastan was once a motor driver and is now a mast, though only a moderate one. He is sometimes clothed and sometimes naked, and he is said to have a brother in Akola who is a compounder to a general practitioner. Baldev Baba is a good mast about 60 years old who is sometimes Salik-like and sometimes Majzoob-like. He's popular with cotton figure gamblers, and he gave Baba a watermelon and several oranges, telling him to eat them. He said to Baba, I made Ishwar. Now you look after the poor. Okay. From Akola, Baba and his men went the same day to Badnera, where Kali Kambliwala Baba was contacted. This man is a good mast who was contacted in 1944. For a brief description of him, see the supplement of the Wayfarers. I think we read Kali Kambliwala. The same night, Baba and his men went by bullock cart to contact Badri Baba, a good mast who lives at Chantara, a village about 9 miles from Batnera. This mast was originally contacted by Baba in 1944 and was then living in a village known as Juna, which is, Baidul says, about a mile from Chantara. For a description of this latest contact, see chapter 2. Following this contact with Badri Baba, the party returned to Badnera and proceeded thence to Nagpur. 15th April 1949. In Nagpur, Amir Hussain is said to have come recently to Nagpur from Tatanagar. He is a good mast who lives in a police Jamadar's house near the Bor Nala, Nala, I think, Bor Nala stone quarry. Nagpur. In Nagpur, Baba was lent a car by Jal Kerawala, and the party set out the same evening in this car for Sioni. For an account of the first journey of this first night of this journey, see chapter 2. I was just thinking Sioni was covered in depth, so yeah. 16th April 1949. In Sioni, Ghaus Mia used to be a Jamadar, a kind of warrant officer in the Indian Army. He now sits in a mosque and reads the Quran most of the day. He has Hawa. Now, what is Hawa? Anybody?
Hawa is just a beginner.
Starting point. Huh? Yes, beginner. Yeah. Starting point. Permanent relationship with the path, but not on it, but not far from it. Right? And these are all, I think, these words that I have used here are verbatim Donkins, which I'm sure, which has been checked by Baba, right? So this, when we see Hawa in the context of Mas or in the context of advanced soul specifically, this is what is meant. And I think I showed you guys already that even Ludwig has it in the God Speaks chart. So if you go to this chart, yeah. So this is nothing but the, remember, okay, so if you, yeah, where are they? Yeah, here is Hawa. Can you see Hawa at the bottom? One second. Yeah, can you see this? Hawa at the bottom here. So Hawa, then you become initiate, seeker, initiate, advanced, and adept. So that's Hawa is before the first plane. And this is bottom left of the LUD chart, the big chart, bottom left here. So you'll find it in the bottom left. So those of you referring the physical book. Now let's go back to the book. Okay. From Sioni, Baba and his men went on by car to Jabalpur. 17th April 1949. In Jabalpur, 3 contacts here. Maggu Miya is a very good mast who wanders about with a long bamboo over his shoulder. Raji Mastani is an elderly and good Mastani who keeps old pots and other junk in a basket which she carries about on her head. Magga Shah is an old man who carries a bundle of rags about with him and is fond of smoking cigars. He wanders all over the place accompanied by an old woman who sees to his needs. He is, Baba tells us, a very good mast. From Jabalpur, Baba and his men went by car to Mandla, stopping on the way at a village known as Jamunia or Jumunia. So all this is Madhya Pradesh, right? Mandla, Jabalpur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sioni is also in MP. Yeah.
Yeah. 18th April 1949, in Jumunia, here Baba contacted Dada Thantanthal, who is fully described in chapter 2. We remember it 2 weeks back, I think. Following this contact, the party proceeded by car to Mandla, where one contact took place. Dhani Ram Maharaj is the mast who was described in the supplement of the Wayfarers as Lohe Bala Baba. At this latest contact, he asked Baba, "Where were you for so many days?" and added, "I know who you are." From Mandla, Baba and his men proceeded by car to Katni. 19th April 1949. In Katni, Mehtab Shah is a lame mast and a moderate one who lives in a tailor's house. It is said that he used to live in Mandla and that all his family were spiritual. The tailor who looks after Mehtab Shah said that when the latter came first to Katni, he arrived on horseback. At Katni, he set this animal free, which then made its way back to Mandla, a distance of about 100 miles. The tailor also explained, on what evidence we know not, that Mehtab Shah died some years ago in a village called Panagad, and that he came to life again 3 months later and returned to his shop. Another mast, this Shobha mast, is the very advanced mast who lives at the back of a sarai. He is described in chapter 2. Samdi mast lives in the shop of the same tailor who keeps Mehtab Shah, described above, in his house. Samdi mast is particularly noticeable because his arms and legs are loaded with goodness knows how many rings and bangles of iron and brass. He's a moderate mast. Following these contacts in Katni, party proceeded by car the same day to Rewa, where Mauganj ka Hafiz Ji, Mauganj ka Hafiz Ji was contacted. For an account of this contact, see chapter 2. From Rewa, Baba and his party continued by car to Allahabad. 20th April 1949, in Allahabad, a few contacts of negligible interest. Kamal Baba has Hawa. Inayat Sain is about 60 years old and is a Sufi who knows Persian. He is nevertheless a Hindu and refers to himself as Paramahamsa. He is revered by both Hindus and Muslims, and Baba tells us that he is a good Salik-like mast. From Allahabad, the party went by car to Chitrakoot, a place famous for saints, so famous in fact that it is referred to in the writings of Tulsidas. It lies about 110 miles west-southwest of Allahabad, and the road to it was, to put it mildly, perfectly filthy. When they reached Chitrakoot, however, Baba told the men with him that he did not like the atmosphere there. Baba had gone to Chitrakoot in order to contact sadhus, but no contacts took place, and Baba and his men returned to Allahabad once again. From here, the car was sent back to Jal Kerawala at Nagpur, Jal's chauffeur having come to Allahabad by train to pick it up. The remainder of this tour was, therefore, continued by train, and the party proceeded forthwith to Faizabad, again close to Ayodhya, I think, Faizabad. Chitrakoot also
Chitrakoot was a place, yeah, reference to
please go ahead.
Rama's.
That's what I thought.
Rama's visits in exile. And
Hmm.
Chitrakoot was a place where they had first made their residence after leaving from
Ayodhya. Correct.
From Faizabad, basically.
Correct. That's a prominent place. And I think
Yeah. Very, very prominent place for. Correct.
Yeah, correct. But maybe Baba visited again also. We don't know. I don't. Thought I should be able to reveal that. So, 21st April 1949, in Faizabad, two contacts here. Sahib Ali Shah is perhaps 70 years old and is said to have come from Rangoon. Rangoon is Burma, many years ago. He now lives in a mosque and is a moderate must. Haji Abdul Rahim Shah is about 90 years old and he also lives in a mosque. He is much revered in Faizabad, and Baba explained that he was an adept pilgrim, 6th or 7th, 5th or 6th. From Faizabad, Baba went on the same day to Ayodhya. The first contact here was with a man known as Bengali Baba, also known as Asiruddin. He is much revered and is a good yogi. Following this contact with Bengali Baba, 104 sadhus were contacted, a small item in words, but no mean task in fact. From Ayodhya, the party proceeded by train to Gonda. 22nd April 1949. In Gonda, Bhartari Mastan is a moderate mast who wanders about the town. Nurjahan Mastani is a good Mastani who was first contacted by Baba in 1942. In those days, she used to live in the house of a certain Magdalene, but at this recent contact, she was found sitting on a heap of rubbish at a crossroad. In order that Baba might contact her, Baidul tried to persuade her to go with him to the house where she used to live in the old days. She refused at first to accompany Baidul, but he eventually persuaded her to sit in a cycle rickshaw with him. Her rubbish was piled in the rickshaw also, and she was carried thus to her old room where she was contacted by Baba. From Gonda, Baba proceeded the same day to Baharech. Lohe Baba, also known as Sheikh Ahmed, is a moderate mast who was first contacted by Baba in 1942. He is described in the supplement of the Wayfarers as wearing pieces of iron all over his body, and we may now add that he spends most of his time on the railway station and keeps a kind of register in which he writes down the times of arrival and departure of engines and trains. When Baba went to the station, Lohe Baba was invited to come to the waiting room so that Baba might contact him. At that moment, however, there was a train at the platform, a train whose engine had gone down the line for watering. When Lohe Baba was pressed to come quickly to the waiting room, he protested that he was busy, and he actually waited until the engine returned from its watering expedition. He then scrutinized it as if he thought himself some kind of locomotive inspector, jotted a few words down in his register, and finally sauntered slowly and disdainfully towards the waiting room for Baba's contact. So he's a rail fan must. This is Lohe Baba. Bhagwan Deen Mastan, Kacheri Wala Baba, was also contacted originally in 1942. He's looked after by a certain woman who is the only person who can handle him. His second name, Kacheri Wala Baba, has been given to him because he sits in the precincts of the Kacheri, the magistrate's court. It appears that he sometimes enters the courtroom itself, and he has been known to abuse the magistrate. On this particular day, he was found coming out of the courtroom and he asked Baba for a dhoti at the time of contact. He was also given sweetmeats and some money. Kacheri wala Baba is, Baba tells us, a very good must. Shall we rotate the reading? Any volunteers?
Sure,
Ashish,
I
shall
can.
I go? Yeah,
Yeah,
please. Mastani Mai. Go ahead.
Yeah, she should do after you. I'll do. Yeah.
yeah. No worries. Yeah. Jai Baba. Mastani Mai Lohewali is a moderate Mastani whom Baba had contacted first in 1942, when she used to sit at the foot of a clock tower in a public garden. Now, however, she lives in the precincts of the Kacheri, a code that must be unique since it has two God-intoxicated souls within its boundaries. Gumani Baba is a Mazup-like must and a good one. At the time of contact, Baba gave Gumani Baba some food, but the must refused to eat it. Baba then declared that there was a burden upon himself, a common reaction when musts are reluctant to conform to his wishes. An hour or two later, Baba therefore sent Vishnu and Chagan to find out whether the food had been eaten or not. They found that Gumani Baba had eaten it all and so brought this happy news to Baba, who then declared himself satisfied. From Bahraich, Baba and his party returned by train to Ayodhya. In Ayodhya, three contacts only this time. Aghor Sadhu is a moderate must who sits amidst filth. Shankarji Sadhu is a good sadhu who wanders about. Gafur Pathan lives in a room attached to mosque. It is said that he has wandered naked in the jungle for some 25 years. He is now about 60 years old and is moderate must. From Ayodhya, the party proceeded by train to Banaras. 24th April 1949. In Banaras, Rukhi Mastani Mai, is to be found near station. She is naked except for monstrous accumulation of rags, about a foot thick, that are wound round her stomach only. She is a good Mastani. Shri Vishwanathji Mastan sits under a certain tree and says, I am God. He is a good must. Lakaria Baba was the next contact for the account of him and of the sequel to this contact. See chapter 2. Swami Nishkalam
Nishkala.
Nishkalan
Nishkalananda, I think. Nishkalanandaji.
Nishkalanandaji is an old man and is a seeker. Brahmachari Sannyasi is a seeker. Lalapuriji Mastan is a seeker. Itwargiri is a seeker, and Kinaram Maharaj is also seeker. The next contact, the last in Banaras on this visit, was with the very great must Batwa Shah. Since Baba's contact with him is fully described in chapter 2, there is no need to repeat it here. We should, however, mention that this native place is a village known as Pahnia, about 6 miles from Ghazipur. From Banaras, the party proceeded to Gaya. In Gaya, the contacts in the city were not of much interest and may be listed briefly. Pannu Mastan is a good must who lies in a gutters. Sadhu Mastan is a seeker who carries a basket of rubbish on his head. Sant Langata Baba, Sant Lai Baba, and Sant Vasulia Baba, and are all seekers. Shah Rahmatullah Pir is an old man about 70 years of age who has mainly disciples. He came originally from Moradabad, and Baba tells us that he is an initiate pilgrim who is 100% Salik-like. From Gaya, Baba and his men returned to Mount Abu, reaching there on the evening of 28th April. 22nd May 1949. Baba walked out to Dilwara, about 2 miles from Abu town, where he again contacted Bengali Baba. 4th May 1949. On this day, Baba instructed Eraj to throw the fragment of paper with Lakaria Baba's name and address written on it into a well. The fragment was therefore thrown into a well at the bottom of Bistinullah in the Mount Abu. 6th May 1949. Baba went by car to the village of Oria, about 4 miles from Abu town, where he again contacted Matragiri Maharaj. Matragiri Maharaj, the yogi described in chapter 2, 7th May 1949. For the contact of sadhus and others, Baba visited the caves that are to be found on the slopes surrounding the Nakki Lake at Mount Abu. 6 sadhus were contacted, of which the best was a man known as Mauni Baba. Haridas Baba Nirvan is an advanced pilgrim who sits under an umbrella near the Nakki Lake. He is described in chapter 2. Baba set out Baba set out on another tour from Mount Abu, living there on 12th May and going first to Abu Road. 12th May 1949. In Abu Road, Baba contacted Ganpati and Khuda Baksh, both of whom have been described elsewhere. From Abu Road, he went the same day on the Palanpur, where he contacted Amir Shah Mastan. This man is perhaps 35 years old and is greatly respected in Palanpur, so much so that an uncle of the Nawab of Palanpur has provided a room for him to live in. Many people come to this room and live food there. But Amir Shah is so unconscious of his physical environment that dogs, goats, and cows walk into the room and eat up much of the food without his being aware of it. When Baba and his men first asked where this musk might be found, they were told that he had died that very day. A few minutes later, however, they passed a sadhu on the road, and Baba instructed one of his men to ask this man about Amir Shah. The sadhu replied that the story of the death of this great must was sheer nonsense, because he himself had just come from meeting him. Baba therefore went forthwith to Amir Shah Mastan's room, where he contacted him. This man is, Baba tells us, a very good Mazub like must. From Palanpur, Baba and his party proceeded via Bombay to Gulbarga, 14th May 1949. In Gulbarga, as soon as Baba reached Gulbarga, he went out to a village known as Khandal in order to meet a great must known as Guru Appar Guru Appa Swami. This must was contacted first in 1945, and there is a description of him in the supplement of the Wayfarers under Gulbarga. Baidul explains that Guru Appa Swami now lives in a temple in a small village known as Khandal Idgah, about 1 mile beyond Khandal itself. When Baba went to contact Guru Appa Swami, the latter was reluctant at first, but was subsequently coaxed to allow Baba to sit with him. Baba gave him sweetmeats, and Guru Appa Swami then asked for tea. He drank some of this tea and gave some of it also to Baba. He embarrassed Baba and was obviously happy at meeting him. Before Baba left, we bought a sheet and a small carpet and give them to Guru Appa Swami. From Khandal, Baba and party returned to Gulbarga, 15th May 1949. In Gulbarga, Lai Muhammad is also known as Budi Man. He was first contacted by Baba in 1945, and a short description of him is to be found in the supplement of the Wayfarers. At this latest contact, Baba gave Budi Man some cigarettes. From Gulbarga, the party went next to Yadgiri, whence they made their way to the village of Tumkur in order to contact Kilgur Swami. A description of this Jivan Mukta is to be found in the supplement of the Wayfarers and also in the chapter 2 of this present volume. We should also again correct a mistake in the Wayfarers and mention that this man's name is the Tilgur Swami and that he is also known as Ishwar Daru Swami and not Ishwardas Swami. From Yadgiri, the party proceeded to Hyderabad, in bracket Deccan, 16th May 1949. In Hyderabad, several contacts in the city in the heart of the Deccan, where Baba had done so much work in 1945. Dina Shah is an Arab who used, so they tell you, Dina Shah is an Arab who used, so they tell you, to be in the Nizam's army. To be in the Nizam's army. He walks about with 3 sticks of bamboo, and if he given money, he hands it over to a certain restaurant owner who feeds him. Dina Shah or Dina Shah looks as he if he were perhaps 70 years old and is a good must who is Salik like at times and Mazub like at others. Nazar Ali Shah came originally from distant Montgomery but has now been in Hyderabad for many years. He has a habit of collecting bites of paper and putting them in a sack. He told Baidul that he only collected those scraps that had Urdu writing on them and that his purpose was to prevent God's name from being trodden underfoot by unwitting pedestrians. Baidul says that this must was contacted first in 1945, although no reference to him is to be found in the supplement of the Wayfarers. Havaldar Mastan. Havaldar Mastan lives in a mosque and is said to have been Havaldar, roughly a sergeant in the army. If you talk with him, he will let you that he cooks food and gives it away to others. 17 May 1949. Baba continues his work in Hyderabad. Amir Ahmad Sahib wonders about the city and is very fond of eating pan. He is well known in Hyderabad and is respected as a wali. Raja Mastan was contacted originally in 1945 and is fully described in the supplement of the Wayfarers. At this recent visit to Hyderabad, Rajia was spotted near a level crossing and was apparently running off to have his lunch. He was persuaded, however, to get into a rickshaw and was taken to a cemetery near the jail. Baba contacted him in a small room in a cemetery, and at the time of contact, Rajia gave Baba a handful of bites of broken china. Broken china. Baba
Yeah,
contact.
broken
Sorry.
China is similar. What do
Yeah.
you call that? Uh, what's the name of ceramic?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So ceramic,
Ceramic
something
kind of.
like cups and plates. Yeah, that's called China.
Okay. Yeah.
Rajaya.
Rajia.
Yeah.
Rajia was then taken away in rickshaw and dropped somewhere in the town. After he had left, Baba ordered one of his men to count these bites of china, and the total was found to be 70. They were all wrapped in the handkerchief and given to Vishnu, who was told to look after them for the time being. And they were finally brought all the way back to Abu and were added to the collection of gifts that Baba has received from the various mosques. Baba was very happy at this contact. Jani Mia Mazook wanders about the city for much of the day and sometimes sits in a certain mosque. Some years ago, he used to live near a certain latrine. He is a moderate must. Kala Khan Mazub was contacted in an unusual way. Baba and his men were planning to go to some part of the city by bus, and Baba pointed out a moderately well dressed man to Baidul and instructed him to ask this man which bus they should take. Baidul therefore accosted the man in question, but he gave no reply and turned his face away. Baidul put the same question to him again, and a passerby overhearing the question, explained that this man was a God-intoxicated soul known as Kala Khan Mazub. He was therefore taken to a restaurant known as Apka, where Baba fed him. Following the contact, Baba explained that the Kala Khan Mazub was so completely Mazub-like that he had nobody consciousness whatsoever, and that great care had to be taken when feeding him, lest he should choke himself. This man is a good must and is obviously cared for by someone in Hyderabad, for he has a sound physique and his clothes are clean and good. Ashak Mia, Ashak Mia is a moderate must who was first contacted in 1945, 18 May 1949. Baba's work in Hyderabad continues. On the previous day and before down on this day also, Baba had gone to try to contact Sayyidi Muhyiddin, the spiritual charge man of Hyderabad, whom he had contacted several times in 1945. But this great must now refused to let Baba contact him, and Baba explained that a burden lay upon himself, a burden that could only be removed by achieving by achieving a good contact with some other must. And so the problem of this day was to help Baba find a good must who would relieve him of this burden. They went first to contact a moderate must known as Wali Sahib, and then set out to search for an adept pilgrim known as Anand Swami, who was said to live near Kachigoda station in Hyderabad city. Anand Swami, Anand Swami was also known to go every morning to a certain roadside tap where he would fill a small earthenware pot with water, a pot that he would use for his personal ablutions and then throw away. He also washes himself at this tap using dust or soap, and he plays with the water as he washes. Now, while Baba and his men were on their way to this tap, another great soul known as Shastri Bua was observed on the opposite side of the road. Shastri Bua used to live in Sikandrabad in bracket about 7 miles away, and he was contacted several times in 1945. There is a short description of him in the supplement of the Wayfarers and a note to the effect that he is a must of sixth plane. Thus, on the auspicious morning, Baba first contacted Shastri Bua in a sarai near Anand Swami's tap and then contacted Anand Swami himself. Following this meeting with these two great souls, Baba explained that the burden which had lain upon himself had been lifted and his work completed. From Hyderabad, Baba and his men returned via Bombay to Mount Abu. Reaching there on the evening of 20th May, Baba and his whole group left Mount Abu finally during the last week of May and returned to Pimpalgaon. On the day back to Pimpalgaon, however, Baba stayed a day or two in the Bombay where a few contacts were made. 28th May 1949. In Bombay, Bora is an elderly and good must who lives in a Mangalore street under an awning made out of old cardboard boxes, bits of brown paper, and old sacks. The next contact was with Good Musk, who sits outside the Khoja's cemetery on Sadhu Sandus
Sandhurst Road.
Road. Sandus
Sandhurst Road.
Road. Okay, Sandus Road. He is a middle-aged man who sits in ragged and filthy clothes on the pavement. No one knows his name for the simple reason that he speaks to no one, but has a well-modeled face and most lustrous eyes, oculi sunt in amor duces. Mungsaji Maharaj. Mungsaji Maharaj is an adept pilgrim who was first contacted by Baba in August 1944 at Dhamangao. He is described in the supplement of the Wayfarers, where there is also a picture of him Mungsaji Maharaj is now living in one room of a flat in the Nagin Mahal in Churchgate, one of the principal street of Bombay. From Bombay, from Bombay, Baba returned to his center at Pimpalgaon. From 7 June until 17 June, Ali Shah, in the bracket, the fifth plane must, who normally lives at Mehrabad, was staying at Pimpalgaon and Baba worked with him every day in the usual way. On the evening of 22nd June, Baba went into seclusion in his cabin, enclosure at Pimpalgaon, and came out of seclusion again on the morning of 1st August 1949. During those 40 days, Baba did certain work with Mast, the poor and the mad, and we shall now list these contacts under their respective dates. 26th
So
of
this cabin and reference to seclusion, could it be to the seclusion hill cabin at Mehrazad? It is Mehrazad surely, but is it the seclusion cabin on the top of the hill? Most likely, right?
No. Uh, that was after the new life, right? Or before the new life? Because this is in August.
Okay, this is
After the new
1949.
life. So it is
Oh,
before the
okay.
new life. 16th October 1949, the new life started,
Correct. So then it must
if
be
I'm
one of
not
the
wrong.
rooms. It's Baba's room
Yeah.
in Mehrazad. Just that,
Yes, yes.
not
Yeah.
yeah.
Some cabin.
26th of June 1949. 21 poor people were brought to Pipalgaon in a bus and were taken one by one into the cabin enclosure, where Baba washed their feet and gave a 10 rupee note to each one. In Jal Kerawala's diary, we are told that these poor people seemed to be of all types, Brahmins, Kunbis, Muslims, and also from all walks of life. Though none seemed to be beggars, all showed signs of poverty. How does he know so much caste?
Yeah, I don't even. I've not heard of Kunbis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam
28th.
Karawala diary must have mentioned, by
Ah,
name.
correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 20th June 1949. Ali Shah was brought to Baba's cabin enclosure at Pimpalgaon, where Baba first sat with him and fed him. Following this contact, Ali Shah was sent back to Mehrabad. 29th of June 1949. 7 men of different types, only two of them were brought for Baba's contact in the cabin enclosure at Pimpalgaon. They all had their hair clipped by Baba and were then bathed, dressed in a new clothes, and given a packet of sweetmeats. Jal Kerawala described these 7 men as follows. Babu is from Bengal. He had lost his left hand and seemed a sleepy fellow. Hatti is from Ahmednagar and is introduced himself to Jal as Sayyid Noor, Sayyid Amir, Tatti Daroga. In bracket, apology to Westerners that this delicious name is impossible to translate. Palwan roams about Ahmednagar and was the same Palwan who had been brought to the Mahabaleshwar ashram in January 1947. He is described in chapter 4 of the Wayfarers. Bhagwan is from Nivapur. He is a fat fellow with a carefree with cheerful face and is a moderate must. Sadba was brought from Pathardi, a village from 30 miles from Ahmednagar. This man is moderate must and was brought by Adi in his own car all the way from Pathardi. Unshi is an old man from Sarjepura in Ahmednagar. Metri is a young but very feeble fellow who seemed unable to walk properly. 10th July 1949, Ali Shah was brought to Pimpalgaon on this day and he stayed at Pimpalgaon until 1st August. When he was brought back to Mehrabad, he also accompanied Baba to Pune from 16th to 24th July, where Baba worked with him in the usual way. 17th July 1949, Baba in Pune. On this day, Keshav was contacted for a description of him. See chapter 3. 18 July 1949. Baba still in Pune, two contacts of negligible interest. The first was Hashim, a mad Khoja Muslim about 50 years old, and the other Allah Baksh, a man of about 35 with Hawa. They were bathed, fed, and clothed at the time of contact. 19 July 1949. Baba still in Pune, another must of the name Allah Baksh was brought to Baba's bungalow. He had Hawa. The same evening, Nannubai was brought for contact, an amazing fellow who described in chapter 3. The same evening, Baba went out for a short car drive and Sannyasi was observed tramping along the road near Wadia College. Baba ordered the car to be stopped and sent Eraj to ask him who he has. Eraj brought the news that he was a sannyasi who had observed silence for the last 7 years and he had been traveling throughout India also. Kaka said that he recognized him as the Mauni Baba whom Baba had contacted in Haridwar some years ago. He is therefore possibly a Mauni Baba who is mentioned in the supplement of the Wayfarers in bracket under Haridwar as having been contacted in April 1942. He was invited to come into Baba's car and was taken out to the Hindus' cremation ground where Baba contacted him for a few minutes. 20th July 1949. Baba still in Pune. A sadhu was brought for contact. This sadhu was in charge of the temple near the approach to the hill on which stood the house in which Baba was staying. Later the same day, Ram Mast, who is described fully in the chapter 3, was brought for Baba's contact. Baba returned to Pimpalgaon from Pune on the evening of 24th July and remained in seclusion in his cabin, enclosure until 7 a.m. on 1st August. He worked with Ali Shah every day during this last part of this seclusion, of his seclusion.
I think that is the end. Yeah. This is just the index. So 1949, 28th July 1949. With that, we close the reading of this book. So as I was saying in the beginning of the call, we will probably try to finish this. It's got 8 pages, and I think we have enough time. Right? It's got.
Yeah.
So this is a book which, this is an article written by two Westerners, I think, Robert Hartford and Andrew Rawlinson. And this is a Western perspective on the Masts. It appeared in the summer edition of summer volume of Globe. And this is, we can quickly read this just to get that perspective.
Sure.
Sanjay ji, now we can read. You can rotate now.
Yes.
Perfect. I'm sorry about the scan quality. I did it on my mobile. I mean, I was lazy. I have a better software, but I was lazy. I did something.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Understanding musts. Meher Baba said that musts are treasures in a ruin. Robert Hartford and Andrew Rawlinson explore Baba's revelations from a Western perspective. Meher Baba's fresh revelations about musts, for which we had no previous knowledge in the Occident, let alone context, are one of the subject's main fascinations. Though the Catholic traditions of it went down too small. 1 minute. Though the Catholic traditions of saints, yeah, has astonishing similarities with musts, we give instances below. It is all news, and in this suddenly revealed world, we also gain a glimmer of a spiritual transcendence that we can accommodate as belonging to us, should we care to make the journey. Of course, we cannot by design or effort become a must, but the spiritual path gains glorious details as we read the stories of the musts and the work that Meher Baba invested in them and their immense importance. The Great Must Tours began at the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939 during the months of April and November. In those 2 months, he traveled 1,000 miles to contact just 5 musts. In 1940, he traveled 3,500 miles and contacted 6 musts. In 1941, he traveled an incredible 18,800 miles to contact 117 musts. In 1942, he traveled 15,000 miles and contacted 190 musts. In 1943, Meher Baba and the Mandali traveled 8,000 miles in the Indian subcontinent and contacted 141 musts. In 1944, he traveled 5,100 miles and contacted 116 musts. In 1945, he traveled 9,200 miles and contacted 206 musts. And in 1946, he traveled a further 6,800 miles and contacted 182 musts. A total of 66,400 miles to contact 963 musts.
If you
These
look at the total
expeditions
of
were
just to sorry to interrupt. If you look at the total of advanced souls and the poor, it is almost 30,000, right? So places like Haridwar, places like where he went to meet groups
mass
of sadhus,
contacts.
mass contacts. Overall, the number, and he also did a lot of work with the poor, where he gave this 1 rupee, 2 rupee, depending on the place, he gave different things, and also food. Those contacts sum up to almost 25,000 people in the same period. Just context, yeah. Please continue.
These expeditions were extremely arduous. Every disease of travel, as one participant put it, was endured. Long searches through forests, deserts, mountains, and back streets, by mule, camel, bullock cart, in crowded buses and trains, and plain old feet in heat, cold, and rain, and with little sleep. One disciple said that he once had 14 hours sleep in 8 days. And then, once a must had been found, the real trial begins, putting up with invectives that the fierce must bestow on all and sundry. The sweet musts just nod and carry on, like a child who says he is coming, but continues to play. But Baba would not give up his quest to find these strange wayfarers on the path to the infinite. Now it starts. Okay, equivalence. It has often been surmised that there must have been musts in the West, although none have ever been revealed, at least not to us. However, the early Christian saints from 4th century CE to the 20th that were beautified by the Roman Catholic Church offer rich parallels to the lives of some of the musts. Accordingly, we include some of them here. We are indebted to Elliot Weinberger's book Angels and Saints for opening, as it were, this portal.
So again, beatification is the process by which the church actually formally confers the title saint, right? So it's only few people that can use that word saint or are conferred the title. So the people here, I think, are all going to be beatified saints, right? Saints.
Okay. Yeah. Bliss and abuse. Lakhan Shah was shabby yet radiant. Chinnaswamy danced ecstatically until on occasion, until on occasion he would swoon. Bansi Baba made a great impression. He was sitting on a kind of throne, one foot resting on a footstool. He seemed very bright in the dark room, and there was an next page.
Yeah. Yeah. An overwhelming.
Yeah. Overwhelming feeling of peace and love, which those with Baba felt strongly. He was naked to the waist and wore a brown turban, a short dhoti, and costly. You're moving the screen or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Something
Costly
is happening.
sandals.
Yeah.
No, no. I just
I'll ask
enlarged.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Costly sandals. People in Bansi do not know his age, but he is believed to be very old. He sits quite still on the throne like chair as if he were a statue. He is very, very thin, mere bone and integument, but there are no wrinkles on his fair skin. To that Baba, in describing him, said that he looked like wax. His aspect was mostly kingly, for his presence dominated the dark room, and the bliss and peace that he radiated made him a memorable personality.
Can we just see
Go
the
down.
photograph? Yeah. I will just see the
Yeah, yeah.
photograph and then go up.
That is Muhammad
This
Mast
is
photo, I think.
Mohammed Mast and shot at Bangalore. And this is Muhammad's Kafni preserved at Beloved Archives, right? So this is on the right.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saint now, when Saint Edwige Carboni.
Okay. When Saint Edwige Carboni, Italy, 1982, 1880 to 1952, prayed as a child, his room would be filled with a blinding light. Saint Bridget of Kildare, Ireland, dated 523, used to hang her clock on a
Wow.
ray of sun. Wow. Other musts are abusive, but are much revered, or they are abusive to adults, but love children. Jampias grabbed food from other people's plates, which was annoying. Annihilation and yeah, annihilation and disbursement. Baba Hassan
Dismemberment.
Wali, yeah, dismemberment. Baba Hassan Wali even killed a woman because she was pestering him to become his disciple. Oh, pestering him to become his disciple. Okay. He went to prison, for most of us would not relish. He didn't seem to care. Tukadoji Maharaj wanted to stay in prison. Why some musts went to such extremes is unclear to
To mere mortals. Yeah.
yeah, to mere mortals. But Zara Shah gives a hint. I will draw my sword and help him, the avatar, to annihilate the unworthy. Compare Abiezer Coppe, ranter, one of the radical Puritans of his time, who around 1650 made the following declaration: God, that mighty leveler, will overturn, overturn, overturn. Thou hast many bags of money, and behold, I, the Lord, come as a thief in the night with my sword drawn in my hand, and like a thief as I am, I say, deliver your purse, deliver sirah, deliver, or I will cut your throat. The higher annihilation may be linked to a rare state called Gauss. How do we pronounce
Yeah, Gauss,
Gauss?
Gauss, Gauss, Gauss is
Gauss.
basically that's dismemberment. So Gauss were musks that were able to remove parts of their body and put it back. That
Yeah.
is called a Gauss.
Munchi was said to have been seen in odd places by night with his limbs detached and lying apart from his body. So he's comparing that. Okay.
Hmm.
Saint Tailo, Wales, DC 560, founded churches and monasteries in Penalty, Llandaff, and Llandilo. At his death, all three places claimed him. They decided to ask Jesus which should house his remains, and the next day, three identical corpses appear so that they would each have one. Wow, this is too much. Miracle.
So you heard of how there was a similar fight after Narayan Maharaj, right? After Narayan
Yeah,
Maharaj
yeah, yeah.
dropped his body. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
But then, of course, I think they took the ashes. I think they split the ashes or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
half is buried in
Body was
Bangalore.
in Bangalore. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Kid Gaon in Bangalore.
What happened after Narayan Maharaj dropped his body?
So actually, he was
Sorry.
on a visit on the invitation of the king of Mysore kingdom at that time, and he was in
Mhm.
Bangalore. And
Okay.
unexpectedly, and I think rather young, he died. And
Okay.
when he died, I think the disciples were in disagreement whether he should be cremated and buried in Bangalore and
Mhm.
or taken back to Kedgaon, which was quite a distance. And I think
Right.
finally there are both places claim to be have the remains of Narayan Maharaj. One is right near Lal Bagh, the in South Bangalore, and the other
Mhm.
is in Kedgaon. Kedgaon. Both claim to be the tombs, but
I see.
I don't clearly remember what is the exact story, but I think some ashes were taken to Kedgaon, but both claim to
Yeah,
be the tomb. Yeah.
That means there were two bodies.
No.
That
There's no. This is the only similarities. There are two tombs, but
two tombs.
that's more because of the divergent opinion among the disciples and their interest to keep the legacy in both places. Because he was not from Bangalore. So
I see.
literally, it's a very small place that they have created, and there is a tomb. A tomb. I visited that in Baswangudi near Lal Bagh.
I see. I see. And I remembered
Mhm.
when we were talking about when we were reading about this dismembering the body or parts.
House.
Uh, uh, I think long ago, Kama said Sai Baba also used to do that.
Yes. Sai Baba was a ghost. Yes, he used to do that. In fact, if
Yes.
you
So
read such Sai Satcharitra, he talks about that, and there have been many people who have experienced
Yeah, yeah.
it firsthand.
oh,
So that is why there used to be a person guarding the place, and nobody would was allowed
Indeed,
to
yeah.
see Sai Baba sleeping. And
I see.
there's a story that one person attempted to look at Sai Baba when he was sleeping and he lost his eyes.
Hmm.
Mm, okay.
And what's the significance of that? Anybody knows?
No, nor is it mentioned in Wayfarers. He only makes a reference to Gauss.
Hmm.
The other thing Sanjay ji mentioned is a next level, which is basically Sai Baba was also famous for leaving his body when he was sleeping. And it used to be lifeless and he'll come back, right? And so that's why the disciples used to protect his body when he was sleeping, because many times he used to go off on these astral journeys or whatever they are called to
Hmm.
other places, and the body is as good as dead, like, but then it comes back.
I see.
Yeah. So it's not covered in Wayfarers. The reason for dismemberment being a
Hmm.
attribute or even being done.
And I mean, this is a bit silly, but we also see on YouTube some magicians cutting the bodies and then putting them together. What is that?
It is sleight of hand.
I don't know.
Sleight of hand. They're not to be treated as any spiritual experience. It's like having a couple of drags.
Yeah, mesmerizing you or something. Something they do, yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, very real. As Sunil is saying, it's very difficult to believe. Because
Yeah,
it's
but
shot
they do
on
it in
videos, yeah.
public. Yeah, they do it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
public,
yeah.
in parks
In
and
parks.
stuff.
Parks,
Yeah.
yes.
So strange, right?
Mm.
Are they
Yeah.
elevated saints? Do we know? We may not know. Maybe they
We
are
may not.
saints. Who knows? I don't know.
So
Okay,
they do it
Yeah.
on volunteers or other persons, or do it on themselves?
volunteers, people walking.
Oh, okay. So
Right.
that's surely not spiritual then, because dismemberment is on yourself. So this is surely in the realm of magic, temporary
Yeah.
suspension of perception, or skewed perception, or sleight of hand.
No
Mhm.
See,
idea.
if you're doing it on yourself, then I would even be tempted to say, okay, it's some skill, it's some spiritual ability.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
if it's for demonstrative purposes being conducted on another person, I
mhm,
tend to believe that it's more for titillation. It's for getting encouragement or money, and it's not a
mhm.
spiritual skill, most likely. And of course, it's sleight of hand. I don't believe it's real, right? You can't really do such things. Like
Okay,
all the stuff, mentalists, the mentalist challenges, all of that. It's just
let me ask.
extreme capability.
Let me ask another question. A little maybe provocative or whatever you can call it. What plane do you think is Sadhguru on, or the Sri Sri on?
So we have debated this. I mean, at
Oh, is
least
it?
Sadhguru, me and my neighbor auntie, she's a big fan of Sadhguru. So we've debated it.
Mm-hmm,
Very, very difficult to say, sir. So I'm sure he's right up there, right? So whether
mm-hmm,
he could even be Paramahamsa, he could even be Jivan Mukta. We don't know. But he's
mm-hmm,
right up there. And there are many masters like that. I have mentioned Sri M, right? Multiple times. I've
mm-hmm.
seen him perform miracles on a YouTube video on live, right? I've met him live, and I think
Who? Sri
he's right
Sri?
up there. No, Sri
Sri
M,
Sri?
Sri
Sri
M,
M. I
Sri
see.
M, right? So those are surely in the planes, but and more than fourth plane, right? That's for
Mm-hmm,
sure,
mm-hmm,
because the skills and powers are so obvious. So it's not just below fourth plane,
So
but
you're
we
talking to
don't
Sri
know.
Madhukarnath? Madhukarnath. Sri
Yes, yes.
Madhukarnath.
Yes. Sri M. He's not called as Madhukar Nath. He's born as Mumtaz Ali. He's born a Muslim, and today he's world famous as Sri M. He's a Vedanta specialist. It's an amazing story. The autobiography is called "Apprentice to a Himalayan Master." So my
mm-hmm,
spiritual shopping days.
But Karthik, I
Hmm.
wouldn't believe the somebody who is on fifth, sixth, these kind of advanced pilgrims. They may be on the planes, yes,
Hmm.
would invest into building a huge place, organizing and big organization. These things would actually fall off as you progress
So
from that level
again.
onwards. Maybe initial pilgrims, yes, because he has a big organization actually. Even Sadhguru, he is a very knowledgeable and enlightened person. Yes, definitely, I agree. But
Hmm.
he is on that journey of fifth, sixth, seventh. I have my own doubts actually because
So again,
he rides
our
bikes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I tend not to believe. Yeah,
What
no. So
about Ravi Shankar?
I reserve my
same
comment
way,
as well,
same
right?
way,
Same,
same
same.
way,
I
same
agree.
way.
I
They are well
agree.
read and they have really meditated and enlightened themselves, and they are helping humanity in the right direction. But I don't think because sometimes they criticize also other things.
No, but do you think
So
they are at least fourth plane?
I don't think
Sadhguru has
so.
done miracles.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
Has
So anyway, that's
Sadhguru,
difficult.
it.
Sadhguru has done
I'll
miracles?
repeat what I keep saying all the time after coming to Baba, right? It's best not to talk about another, because
Correct, correct,
it
correct.
is very, very worst samskaras, especially when you're talking about a spiritual master, right? So when you see a spiritual master and a claim, either publicly by a disciple or by the master himself, just bow down to Baba and just go on. So, right? Absorb what you can from him in whatever way, but just fold your hands and move on, right? So because we don't know,
But
we are
yeah,
nobody to comment.
you're right, Karthik. But many,
Yeah.
like many gurus come and they say they are the avatar of Vishnu. Some like even there is some Baba. He said he's avatar of Hanumanji, Maruti. Some said Swami Samartha. He said he's avatar of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So if avatar comes every 700 or 14 after 1400 years, so how come these Sadgurus and they are not like Swami Samartha is a very big name actually, right?
Correct. Very popular.
So they says he's avatar.
Oh,
Again,
Datta.
maybe they are minor avatar. We can say it's not a full avatar kind of, but there are many right who comes and says like I'm
So
avatar.
technically, if my youth, the way they Kama would put it, technically everybody is an avatar, but these are the people who have
Correct.
realized themselves and they are have that knowledge or confidence or realization, so to say, that they can say that actually. Some of them
Yeah,
do
and
say, yeah.
as in India, it's very easy to get the title Baba, right? Or Avatar or Sadguru or Guru, in the sense that people naturally believe in respecting other humans for some skills or knowledge, which doesn't happen in the West. West, everybody's equal, right? So in India, there is a greater proportion of people who are claiming to be evolved and hence deserving and often demand, I mean, sometimes demand respect. I would say if we are Baba lovers, we just go straight with his very categorical definitions. The only challenge is we are not in a position to recognize the spiritual status of anybody. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is designed.
Why
So
do you
if
say it's a challenge?
because you might make errors in judgment. So let's say we know the perfect masters that exist today, right? Who
Mhm,
are the five? If we know, we
mhm.
could gain from that. But unfortunately, we don't.
But Baba said, don't go to anybody else, even
Exactly.
Sadhguru.
Exactly.
Okay, then
Exactly.
you're saying you don't go to anybody else, right? I have one question
Yes.
on no, don't go to anybody else. If with my
Correct.
friends, if I go to Tirupati, right? If
Hmm.
I go to Tirupati Balaji, my
Hmm.
friends are just going is like they are putting their heads
Hmm.
on there. So shall I put my head down or shall I just see and come back? Because I'm going with my friends. I'm going with some trip or something, right? I can
Hmm.
go some temples and anywhere just for roaming. And
Hmm.
what's the problem? It's like if I'm taking the Baba's name and just putting my head on the like Vishnu's legs or something, right? So what is the problem in that actually? There should not be,
Hmm.
right? It's okay.
So I
What
think
do
you answered it perfectly, right? So that's what I do.
Hmm.
I just put my head down wherever and say
Hmm.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. That's
Then
it.
Baba ki jai.
Right? So that's it. Right? So there is no disrespect meant to anybody, especially your friends and family, by saying
Hmm.
I won't come. Because Baba didn't say
Yeah,
that.
that's
But
yeah.
Baba
We
said,
can't say
don't
like that.
Baba said, you are already with the highest of the high, right? So don't
Yeah.
go, don't wander,
Hmm.
right? So don't look for answers, don't look for direction, don't look for guidance elsewhere. For guidance, for the progress for yourself, just look at Baba. So what are your friends and family going to Tirupati for? Don't go for that. Go with
Yeah,
them for
yeah.
company. That's it.
Yeah, that's what. If we are going with the company, we have to follow their
That's
way,
it.
right? So
Yes, and I do that. I am equally happy today going to a mosque like that, going to a
yeah,
church
definitely.
like that, going to
Church
any
also.
temple
Yeah.
like that. Absolutely no
Yeah.
problem. In fact, maybe before coming to Baba, I was reluctant to go to other places. Why should I go to Amritsar? Why should I go to mosque and so on? But then today I'm absolutely sorted on that. I welcome and I'm equally comfortable anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Sunil, any more provocation?
No more provocation. I'm completely in sync with you, Karthik. So I do the same. I go everywhere, and I've done that through my life, right from childhood, praying to Baba in temple, mosque, church, anywhere else. So no more provocation. Settled. Sorry.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
But I was just looking at the clock as well as how much we have to complete. I would rather just send out this article. Please read it. I will send this out on Telegram, and maybe we can just stop recording, chat up for a bit, and enjoy in this idea of Wayfarers and Musts and wrap up for today. Is that better? Because I think even if we extend, we may need more than half an hour, 40 minutes to finish 7 more pages. Right? It's an 8-page article.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah.
send it out on the group. Everybody can
Yeah,
read it
Yes, sir.
everybody
in
read it.
private.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
So, okay. So I will just stop recording. We can hang out for some time, socialize, and bask in the glory of Wayfarers. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Star
Yeah.
Baba ki jai.